Well, the Browns introduced Odell Beckham today, along with Jarvis Landry, Myles Garrett, Baker Mayfield. They put them all up there with Odell Beckham. But of course, Beckham was the feature today here in Berea as the offseason program is underway. So just real quickly, guys, your first impressions of Odell Beckham.
Well, I think that he really sold it, that he is so excited to be here. That's the biggest takeaway for me is to hear him say things like, I think this is the biggest blessing of my life. I think this will be the best thing that ever happened to me. I think we will look back on this as more of an iconic moment than we realize right now. He had a lot of big one-liners, but I think he's really excited to be here.
Yeah, Mary Kay said it's got one-liners from Odell. He really hit all the right notes.
The thing that stood out to me is just the four of them together and that symbolism of how far they've come in the last 15 months when people were parading around First Energy Stadium after an 0-16 season. You had a number one overall pick and a Pro Bowl starter sitting next to a four-time Pro Bowler, sitting next to a three-time Pro Bowler, sitting next to another number one overall pick who's probably going to be in the MVP conversation. So just to see that together and Odell kind of being the catalyst that got us to this point and seeing that, it's just the symbol of it really stands out and showing how much change has happened over the last year and a half.
Now, speaking of change, there is some news to talk about today. The first is Emmanuel Ogbah, finally traded. He's on his way to the Chiefs. The Browns get Eric Murray in return. Nothing to do with Eric Berry. Eric Murray in return, a safety. And Mary Kay, they needed a safety after they let Derek Kindred go. Of course, traded Jabril Peppers. And so it's going to be Eric Murray and Ogbah. No big surprise gone.
No, the writing had been on the wall. I think I reported this back at the Combine or somewhere I've been over the past month and a half, that they were talking about trading Emmanuel Ogbah. So it finally came to pass today. And again, like you said, they replaced some of the safeties that they've lost in Eric Murray. He started 9 games last year. He's also a 4th-round pick in 2016 like Derek Kindred was. So they bring somebody in here either to start or for depth, but I would think that he is probably in line for a starting job right now.
Yeah, Ogbah, the number 32 overall pick that year. Murray, the number 106 overall pick. So you're trading what was essentially a first rounder, was the first pick in the second round, for a guy that John Dorsey picked in the 4th round.
I think a lot of people are wondering, why would you trade Ogbah? Why would you trade Duke Johnson? And I think people are forgetting about the draft and that, yes, these guys could provide depth and it could be somebody to fill a certain role, but we do still have the draft to get to. And those kind of players, especially along the defensive line, are going to be there in the 2nd and 3rd round and be the kind of player that can have an impact.
And Scott, you said Duke Johnson. Of course, Mary Kay, you reported that Duke Johnson has requested a trade. His representatives have requested a trade. He did not report today. So it sounds like Duke Johnson probably not going to be here much longer.
Well, it all depends on what the Browns decide to do. Just because Duke Johnson and his reps want him to be traded doesn't mean the Browns will go ahead and do it, at least not right away. Now, the reason he wants to be traded is because obviously they signed Kareem Hunt. And when you look at it, he's probably going to be gone by the time Kareem Hunt gets back off of his 8-game suspension. I'm sure Duke Johnson feels like, if you're going to let me go, do it now when I can have a chance to catch on with one of these teams that are interested in me. That includes the Jets, or it has included the Jets, the Texans, and the Eagles over the past month. But there are other teams that I've talked to that have expressed interest.
And we've talked about it before. Kareem Hunt comes back right around that trade deadline, so things could get interesting if Duke Johnson is on the roster during the regular season. We'll have full coverage of the press conferences today. All of that breaking news that has happened today, all at cleveland.com/Browns.